This weekend's UFC 315's main event ain't just a title fight. It's not just Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. This is going to be a moment where the future of the UFC, as well as the direction of two entire weight divisions, hang in the balance. Because depending on who wins, the UFC will either open the gates for Islam Makhachev to chase that champ status in hopes of acquiring that 170-pound gold, or lock him into the historic, long-awaited super fight with Ilia El Matador Topuria. This one result could trigger an entire butterfly effect that could reshape the lightweight as well as welterweight landscapes forever, and contenders like a Charles Oliveira, Charles du Bronx, a Arman Tsarukyan, and Justin the Highlight Gaethje, their fates are about to be decided as well. What happens at UFC 315 will ripple across the entire organization, and the decisions made after this fight will define the UFC's next inevitable era. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 3,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look, let's get straight to the point. This weekend's main event between Belal Muhammad and Della Maddalena at UFC 315 isn't just gonna be another title fight. It's about to be way bigger than that. I mean, I truly believe that the outcome of this one fight has the power to shape the entire future of the UFC as a whole. And I'm not just talking about one division, I'm talking about multiple. I'm talking about a domino effect that could quite literally shift the entire timeline of both the welterweight and lightweight divisions, and even possibly risk or even sacrifice the opportunity of one of, if not the biggest, super fights in recent MMA history. And you see, right now, the UFC are kind of stuck in a bit of a weird place right now. I mean, they've got Islam Makhachev, the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, as well as the pound-for-pound #1 fighter today, just sitting on the sidelines with no fight booked and no opponent confirmed. And, you know, it ain't like the UFC doesn't have options. In fact, they actually have two massive ones in their back pocket. Either #1, Islam Makhachev stays at the lightweight division and finally squares off against Ilia El Matador Topuria, the literal featherweight champion of the world, as well as one of the UFC's biggest stars today, in a fight that is arguably hailed as one of, if not the biggest super fights of all time. A champ v champ matchup featuring two of the most well-rounded fighters in the game today. It's basically a worldwide matchup for the ages. Or for their second option, the UFC greenlights Islam Makhachev's move up to the 170-pound division in order to chase his sights in acquiring that champ status. So now, here's where UFC 315 actually comes into play, because y'all remember the cat sitting upon the 170-pound throne, right? Yeah, I don't either. But that's why I have my notes right here to refresh me on that fact. It says here that his name's Belal Muhammad. Remember the eyeball? And now I remember him. Well, that guy's apparently Islam Makhachev's teammate. So do you see the problem here? Right. Islam's not gonna move up and fight his boy for the belt. And so if Belal stays victorious this weekend and remains champ, then it pretty much locks Islam Makhachev into staying at 155. There's really no way around it, really. And so the UFC know this. That's the entire reason as to why they're waiting to announce anything until after UFC 315's victor is officially crowned. It's like this one matchup is the missing variable that either opens the door to the next chapter or blocks it off entirely. This means that if Belal Muhammad wins, then the UFC's most likely move is to finally give the green light for Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, probably for International Fight Week. And look, this is the fight that the fans wanted, and this is the fight that we all know we need. Two world champions, both on killer win streaks and both elite everywhere. But only one shall remain supreme. But then again, if the UFC chooses to go with Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, then it kind of creates another problem. What do we do with all the lightweight contenders sitting in limbo? I mean, let's start it all off with Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx. Like, the guy has quite literally fought everyone ranked within the lightweight top 5 at some point in time. He's the former champ, and he's also coming off of a clean masterclass performance win against Michael Chandler in November. So if Islam Makhachev does stay at 155, then there could be an argument that Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx could be next in line for the strap and not Ilia Topuria. But if Islam versus Ilia does happen, then it could mean that Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx would have to either sit out and wait or put his ranking up for grabs and take on another risky fight that wouldn't even guarantee him anything. Same thing goes for Arman Tsarukyan. And yeah, while he is the number one contender after beating Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx at UFC 300, we cannot forget that he did pull out of UFC 311 on only a day's notice due to a back injury. And, since then, he hasn't necessarily been in the good graces of the UFC, especially Uncle Fester. And, taking that into account, they're probably going to make him either wait it out or fight again just to earn another shot at the belt, even though he clearly does deserve it as the number one contender. So if Islam versus Ilia does happen, then Arman Tsarukyan either gets pushed aside and risks either, losing momentum, or he's got to fight someone else in the division, maybe a Justin the Highlight Gaethje or a Paddy Pimblett or another top-ranked contender just to stay relevant. And while we're here, let's talk Justin the Highlight Gaethje. I mean, right now, the man's kind of a wild card. He's currently the third-ranked lightweight in the world, and even though his last win was against a Rafael Fiziev who was coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, Justin the Highlight still got that name value as well as that championship level expertise. I mean, he's always in banger fights, and on top of that fact, he's never fought Islam. So if the UFC wants something fresh and new at lightweight, he's always an option as well. So right now, you've got an entire logjam forming at the top, all waiting to see if Islam Makhachev either moves up or he stays at 155 pounds. But now, let's flip the script. Let's say that Della Maddalena shocks the entire world and gets the job done against Belal. I mean, for one, that result would quite literally blow the door wide open for Islam Makhachev to officially move up to 170 and go for that champ status. I mean, we're talking about no more teammate loyalty holding him back anymore. No more awkwardness and just pure legacy chasing. I mean, right now, I just know that Islam Makhachev's praying that JDM can get the job done this Saturday night and flatline the ballsack out of Belal Muhammad. But, honestly, the UFC would probably love this idea as well. I mean, Islam Makhachev has been such a dominant force at 155 already, so him moving up would easily create a whole new storyline for the company. But here's the catch. Because if Islam Makhachev moves up, then under the UFC's new current structure, he would have to vacate that lightweight belt, just like how they had him do with Ilia El Matador. That means no more two-division king like Volk tried to be. You move up, you let that old title go, which in turn means no more Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. That super fight, dead in the water, just like that. And so instead, the UFC would have to book a fight for the vacant lightweight belt. And the most likely options for a title fight like that, I'm kind of thinking an Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira matchup, or maybe even an Ilia versus Arman Tsarukyan, depending on what the UFC decides to do with Arman. But if you were to ask me what route I think that the UFC are most likely to take, I'm gonna be going with Ilya versus Charles. Why? I mean, for one, like I said earlier, Arman Tsarukyan's still kind of being punished by the UFC for the late withdrawal. And two, this is important by the way, but a few weeks ago during a Spanish broadcast of the Leroy Murphy versus Josh Emmett fight, a leak happened where the Spanish commentary team casually said that Ilia Topuria would be facing off against Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx at UFC Noche. And now, while it wasn't officially confirmed, leaks like that don't just happen for no reason. I mean, there's a good chance that, that was the plan in case Islam Makhachev does move up to 170. But here's the bottom line. If Belal Muhammad wins, then Islam Makhachev stays at 155 and we get the super fight of generations. If Della Maddalena wins, then Islam Makhachev moves up, vacates his belt, and we either get Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira or Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan for the vacant lightweight title. Either way, this fight between Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena changes everything. Now look, I'm gonna be real right now. I will be rooting for Della Maddalena in this fight against Belal Muhammad. I mean, not only is he my current favorite welterweight to watch, but I just love the way he fights. I mean, we're talking about the smooth boxing, the killer instinct, and the always exciting performing ability. I just love to see him filet loin stiffen Belal Muhammad and shake things up at 170. But realistically, and I do hate to say this, but I do think Belal Muhammad will get it done. I mean, he's more experienced and, he knows how to win those decisions and, he should be used to those 5-rounders by now. And, while I will be backing JDM and do believe in his absolute killer instinct in the cage, I don't think that he'll be ready for the level of chess match just quite yet. And so, as a fan, I'm kind of left at a standstill as well. I mean, do I want Della Maddalena, my favorite current welterweight in the game today, to storch out and filet loin Belal, remember the oibol, subsequently saving the welterweight division? Or do I want the birth of the biggest, most electrifying super fight in all of UFC and MMA history, where I'll, without a shadow of a doubt, see my most favorite current fighter on the roster, Ilya El Matador Topuria, filet loin stiffen, the pound for pound number one, and subsequently become a lineal simultaneous champ. Decisions. So yeah, this weekend's fight is gonna be huge. I mean, way bigger than just a title defense. This is about the future of two of the most exciting divisions in MMA. And it's about setting up the biggest storylines the UFC has in its pipeline. So no matter who wins, either it be Belal Muhammad or Della, I can just smell a major butterfly effect coming soon. But the question I leave you guys with here is, what timeline do you think we're about to enter? But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what are your guys' thoughts on, the future implications on UFC 315. And let me know who you guys have coming out on top. Belal, remember the eyeball Muhammad, or Della Maddalena? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.